Shadow and Bone, Season 2, Episode 6. Today I will be going over Episode 6 of my book versus show breakdown. As always, there will be spoilers for the show and book spoilers. Major spoilers for Ruin and Rising, some minor spoilers for Crooked Kingdom. I'm just going to be talking about the backstory of one character, and the backstory is revealed in Crooked Kingdom. And I guess spoilers for Lives of Saints, although I am only going to be talking about one particular story. Lives of Saints is an anthology, and I am only going to be talking about Sanctco and Sancta Nayar, because that is what is discussed in this episode of the show. I will be going through this storyline by storyline, so I'm starting with Alina's, and then I will be switching over to the Crows. Starting the show off, we have Alina, Baghra, and Mel trying to track down the third amplifier. I don't even think they call the third amplifier the Firebird that much. They're just looking for the third amplifier. This is definitely a deviation from the book. In Ruin and Rising, Baghra is not okay with Alina tracking down another amplifier and combining amplifiers to gain more power. We also have a scene in the show where Baghra is telling Alina and Mel more about Moritsova and revealing that she is Moritsova's daughter. This is a story Baghra tells in Ruin and Rising. However, the point of the story Baghra is trying to make is to convince Alina not to be power hungry and to not go after another amplifier. This is the same story we get in Ruin and Rising, though it's told under different circumstances and for different reasons. In the story, Baghra talks about going back to her childhood home, and there was nothing left of her childhood home except this one cellar, and she did find Moritsova's journals in the cellar. We don't have any indication in the book that a Moritsova is needed to open the cellar or to get into Moritsova's workshop, though it is possible that happened, and Baghra just did not include that in her story. We then have Baghra talking to Mel and revealing to Mel that she thinks he is the third amplifier. This is definitely a deviation from the book. In the book, Baghra never realizes that the third amplifier could be a human. In Ruin and Rising, the third amplifier is believed to be the Firebird, and Mel is leading a mission to track down the Firebird, and they do find the Firebird. But whenever they see the Firebird, it kind of jumps out and startles them, and Alina falls off a cliff, and Mel reaches out to grab her. And during that encounter, they realize that Alina doesn't sense the power from the Firebird, but she gets this like jolt or hum from Mel reaching out and grabbing her. Of course, they realize this in the light of the story Baghra told them, how Moritsova did heal and raise his daughter, and how it is possible that a human or a descendant of Moritsova could be the third amplifier. However, they don't have this door that only a Moritsova could open, so they don't have any way of confirming this, though they are quite sure whenever they realize this in the book. At the time of recording this, I've not watched past episode 6, so I don't know where they're going with this in the show, although I felt like this reveal had a lot more gravity in the book. And part of the reason it had more gravity is in order to take the power of an amplifier, you have to kill that amplifier. So whenever it is revealed that Mel is the third amplifier, Alina realizes in order to gain the power of the third amplifier, she would have to kill Mel. In this season of the show, however, they have Alina saying that she did not want to kill the Sea Whip, and even though it does end up dead, there's maybe a possibility that it wouldn't have to die in order for Alina to take his power. And we have the Darkling cutting off Baghra's fingers and trying to make her finger bones into amplifiers without killing Baghra. So there's this question of like, do they actually have to kill Mel in order for Alina to gain the power of the third amplifier? I just feel like where they've taken this storyline so far in the show kind of eliminates some of the gravity of this situation. We do get a scene in the show with the Darkling where he basically performs the cut on this town and totally destroys the town. We don't know whether or not this happened in the book because we don't follow the Darkling's perspective. However, we do know that the cut is this powerful, and we have a scene in the book where Alina literally takes off a mountaintop with the cut. So I do think it is possible to totally destroy a town the way the Darkling did here in the show. We also have Baghra saving Alina and sacrificing herself in order for Alina and Mel to get away. This kind of happened in the book, but not exactly in the same way. So before Alina and Mel and their team went after the Firebird, they were found by the Darkling in their mountain hideout where they were prepping and training. When the Darkling found them, Baghra did sacrifice herself in order for Alina to get away. In the show, we also have Baghra cutting off the Darkling's hand, and then we have what seems to be, I'm not sure if it's an infusion of his own hand back on, or if it is Baghra's hand, or if he's somehow tried to capture the power of Baghra's bones. I'm a little unclear what happened here exactly, but this is not something that is discussed in the book. However, again, I'm going to say we are not following the Darkling in the book at all, so it's not really clear what he is doing at this point. I guess you could say this is possible that he could try to do something like this. In this episode, we also meet Dominic, which is one of Nikolai's friends. I'm not going to discuss him much here, just wanted to discuss his introduction a little bit because this is a character we only meet in the books in the King of Scars duology. So he's not someone from the Grisha trilogy or the Six of Crows duology. He is from the King of Scars duology, and we might be discussing him more in future episodes. And finally, we will talk about the Crows storyline. As we discussed last episode, this mission the Crows are going on is not something that happened in the books at all. In this episode, however, we do get hallucinations or dream sequences from these characters, and the one I want to discuss is Jesper's, because Jesper's storyline dream sequence does reveal his backstory, which we learn in Crooked Kingdom. Jesper's mother was a magic user, like Jesper, and we do have scenes in the book where Jesper is remembering his mother teaching him how to shoot and enjoying life together. One of their neighbor's children ingests poison, and because Jesper's mother is a magic user, she is called upon to help heal this child. In doing so, she draws the poison out of the child, but into herself, and then she succumbs to the poison. Jesper's father is devastated by this. He feels like he lost his wife to magic, and he does not want to lose Jesper to magic as well, so he encourages Jesper to suppress his magic. In this episode, we also find out that this is Sancta Nayar, which is from the stories in the Lives of the Saints book. Again, this is not something that is touched on in the Six of Crows duology or the Shadow and Bone trilogy, but this is a story that comes from the Lives of the Saints. We also get Tolia talking about the significance of Sancta Nayar, her creating the weapon and wielding the weapon during this battle. Tolia's line here is a direct quote from Sancta Nayar's story in the Lives of the Saints. In the Lives of the Saints story, we are not told what happens to Sancta Nayar, so it is possible that she's still alive. We don't know what happens to her after the significant battle that made her famous. That's really all I have for this episode comparing it to the books. Chat with me in the comments whether you like these changes, whether you don't like them, if I missed anything.